And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Tell me, Mike, have you seen Tenacious D?
Yes.
No further questions.
Yeah.
Is it possible, Michael, that the reason you don't like Jack Black is because when you look at him, you see a little bit of yourself?
Touche.
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle, Season 8, Episode 26, the original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me I have an old man who says, home is anywhere you don't have to put down cheating before the fun starts. It's Mike McDonough. Live from Vegas, we have a man who describes most of his past relationships as Humpty Dumpty. It's Shaun, I love cans, levered.
Oh my god, I don't even get that one, but I hate it.
And in the red corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who doesn't like being told what to do, unless he's naked. It's Mark, superhero, Leonard. This week we'll be discussing some movies in the shape of, or a movie in the shape of Slow West, and some TV in the form of The Brink and Killjoys. We'll also have some news and some previews, and coming to a bicycle near you. So how's everyone doing?
Fantastic, Steve.
Doing pretty well, Steve. Doing pretty well. Had some disturbing news today.
Oh, yes?
A very close person, friend of mine, rang me. He was quite upset. He said, I wanted to fight Aldo because I know he was afraid of me, but it seems I'm going to have to fight Mendez.
Mini Mendes.
I said, Connor, don't worry, man. You got this.
It's great that you let him have your number, to be available at any time. You know?
That's big TV news indeed.
Mm.
So it looks like Jose Aldo is out.
Again.
His injury, his rib injury, seems like it was too severe for him to train.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad Money Mendes, one of my favorite nicknames in the UFC, is stepping in to take his place, and they've already managed to cut a trailer. So they obviously had the production company working on it since the first minute that he came into the frame.
Yeah.
I was looking at videos online earlier today, and I watched Conor McGregor graciously accepting that he wouldn't be fighting Aldo anymore, and explaining that it didn't really matter that he was fighting Mendez. It was going to finish the same way in under 4 minutes. And then the next link over related videos was UFC 189 Mendez versus McGregor promo. So they certainly didn't waste time, and you would expect no less from the engine that is the UFC.
So this will be for an interim belt as well. So
it is indeed.
That's
yes,
kind of
they're still going to make it a title.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the interim belt, obviously, and then Aldo will fight the winner when he's fit and healthy again, which would probably be about like 4 weeks after the fight. But just be interested to see what's actually been done to his ribs, because so this is the thing, right? This is where I stray from the facts into the opinion. A lot of people are going on about how Aldo is afraid. Now, I'm the biggest fan of Conor McGregor in the world, right? Like, literally. All the rest of them are shorter than me. And for some reason, people are posting all over Facebook that, Aldo bitched out, Aldo is afraid. Like, Jose Aldo is afraid of no one or nothing.
Yeah. That's very true.
Like, he's a professional fighter. He's been champion for years. He's been undefeated for years. Like, do people think that Conor is the first time he thought he might lose? Like,
yeah. I mean, he's defended it, 7 times? Yeah.
7 times. And, like, going into those fights, you never knew that Aldo was going to win every single one of them. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, but this is
like the first time he fought Mendez. What was that, Mike?
I was just going to say, this is a whole different level of threat. Like, I'm seeing this, like, do you remember Billy in Predator?
Nice link, Mike.
Yeah. So I think he didn't actually damage his ribs. He actually cut his chest with a large knife, and they couldn't stitch it in time. But go on, Mark.
Still, it'll be...
So right. If he was a normal human, right, a regular human who's not a fighter, you'd go, well, he's probably looking at Conor going, I might get hit really hard and knocked out by that guy. I don't want to fight. But like, the chance for that to happen to Jose Aldo has been there in every single fight that he's ever had in his entire career, long before he ever stepped into the UFC. you know? And fighters don't think like that. They don't think, oh, I hope I don't get knocked out. They think, I can't wait to knock this guy out. Because that's the game they're in. Like, you know, fighters have issues with confidence the same as everybody else. But they have a certain attitude, mental attitude that's just different.
Yeah.
You know? And you only have to look at the Ultimate Fighter house any season ever to see that.
Yeah.
Like any bit of conflict in that house at all, and they want to talk to each other and sort it out aggressively. Whereas, like, in the Big Brother house, people would just be bitching about each other behind their back for ages first.
What's interesting is that if you combine those two things, you would get Tough Enough from the WWE, which just premiered on USA 2 weeks ago.
No
I
way.
don't want to cut you off, Mark, if you were still going, but I saw a link.
No, you're fine, Sean. I'd love to hear about Tough Enough. That the first season of that was one of my favorite reality TV shows ever when it came out. How would they handle it this time?
What is it?
So they've learned. So Tough Enough is essentially the Ultimate Fighter, but for professional wrestling for the WWE.
No way. You serious?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And here's the thing: they've had 6 seasons of it over maybe 13, 14, like 12 years or something. Because they keep rejigging the formula because they never get exactly what they want out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now they have their own network. So, you know, not only are they trying to, here's what their clever thing is, right? If you want to watch it, you watch it on the USA Network at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock on WWE's network online, you watch Tough Talk, which is their version of, you've just been kicked off, let's have a chat about everything that's going down in the house.
Okay.
Who do you think's going to win?
Yeah.
So they're getting the same revenue they would be from just having a TV show and moving it on. The last season of Tough Enough was amazing. It was run by Stone Cold Steve Austin, who said whatever he wanted and just looked, at one point he just looks at a girl and he's like, why are you here? She's like, oh, I believe I'm going to be the next WWE superstar. And he goes, what's your favorite match? And she says a match between her cousin and a random female wrestler who's never made it anywhere. And Stone Cold just looks at her and puts his head in his hands and goes, all the matches in the world, and you pick that.
I know a girl a bit like that, actually, a bit like Stone Cold. When fellas would come up to her in a nightclub, she would go, why are you talking to me? And they go, oh, just, I think you're pretty. And she go, yes, I am, but you're not.
Oh.
So they've changed it up this year. They have Chris Jericho as the host, and they have a bunch of judges in the form of Hulk Hogan, who you may know, Daniel Bryan, and one of the big female wrestlers now, Paige. They have equal numbers of boys and girls, and they're going to have 2 winners. So there will be a superstar and a diva coming out of this with a $250,000 contract. And they've got them all living in the same house, and they're clearly prodding them to fight with each other all the fucking time. From the first episode, they all wanted one girl going home, and they all hated one guy. It was amazing. They hated the girl because she complained about missing her fiance, and they all turned on her and went, she should just go the fuck home. Where the fuck is she here crying about her fiance? And then that girl went and beat them in all of the challenges. And then there was a guy he's a mixed martial artist, and he's won everything so far, but he won't shut up about how he's won everything so far. Like, they've managed to get their characters out in front immediately. They're doing great work. Like, it's a good show. I'm very excited about the season. And the thing is, the judges pick the bottom 3, and the fans send home whoever they're sending home using Twitter hashtags, the WWE app, or text voting.
Wow.
It's synergy. It's synergy at its highest fucking possibility.
So this is season what that we should be looking at now?
Season 6, episode 1.
Okay.
Like, you'll be pointed directly to the fat fuck that everyone loves and to the 2 villains. Like, it's classic reality TV storytelling. It's good stuff.
Wow.
I used to know a girl like that, actually. The big one that everyone loves.
Oh, God.
Maybe I should leave it there.
Yeah. So, what did we see this week? Mike, you've been busy.
Somewhat busy.
Yeah.
I finished Game of Thrones, finally.
Oh, good man. We can talk about it now.
Finally.
Finally.
Hey, Mike, how many episodes have you got left to watch of Game of Thrones?
Now 0.
Zero. Well, I have a full season. I'm just waiting for a chance to watch.
Oh,
You've been stockpiling, you bastard. You've just been waiting for the
He
moment
has.
when
I
I
know
said,
he's been waiting for it.
fucking
I kept that one close to my chest, but I
bastard.
do have a question. I do have a Game of Thrones related question that you are eminently qualified to answer. The books and the TV show. Is there a lot of divergence?
Oh, we discussed this, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I didn't notice a whole lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a masterful piece of TV adaptation.
That's correct. Yeah, fully correct. Yeah. So the answer is slightly.
Except, as someone who has read none of the books, I have always been hesitant to ask anyone for fear of spoilers. But I feel like it's fairly caught up at this point. To the degree where I was like, okay, alright, I can start talking about this. And there's one character who was close to being a fan favorite, who apparently loads of shit was changed with him. To the degree where he is like no longer a viable hero.
Does he know nothing?
Not him. That's not the character I'm referring to.
Is he short?
No, I'm not referring to the actual fan favorites. I'm referring to somebody he's like a black horse, you know?
Black horse?
What's the phrase for?
Okay, I'm
sheep?
stuck now.
Dark Horse.
No,
Dark horse.
Dark horse.
Yeah, yeah.
Black horse.
A dark horse. Is it your one with the red hair?
It's Stannis the Menace.
Oh, Stannis.
Stannis.
Yeah. Apparently stuff got changed around on him, as I've been told.
Yeah, I suppose, like, if you want to go into pernickety
Yeah,
detail.
you'd have to be pretty pernickety about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the main story it doesn't change.
I mean, they've taken 1,500 pages
Yeah.
of text and condensed it into 10 episodes,
yeah.
and it's far easier to follow just watching the TV. As I was saying to Steve, like you got a chapter, something happens, and then 6 chapters later they come back to what happened in that chapter, and you're like, what? Oh
Yeah.
shit! I kind of have forgot that.
Yeah, you have to read half the chapter before you remember what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. To catch up.
You're halfway through it going, where are the hobbits?
So, it's like Mike says, it's a brilliant TV adaptation. Yeah. They did a good job in it, all right. And the storylines that may or may not have been changed, it doesn't take from the greater story that they have been changed or they're not there. Yeah.
You're never going to please everybody,
Yeah.
but
There's so much material in it, so.
that they had to make decisions, and I think they generally did well.
Yeah.
Fair play.
I don't think it's as good as last season by any chance, though.
Shut up!
I feel like it was
Just shut up!
See,
it was a decline in quality, in my opinion.
Well, there was also
can't say I agree there, really. Anyway.
Firstly, I would say there was a decline in quality of the books. I think
Well, that's true.
Mr. Martin has gotten to the point where his publishers are afraid to edit him. So it's just, you want to put an extra 300 pages in? Yeah, you go ahead. Our fans will read any old shit you put down on the paper these days. So that's part of my admiration for how well they adapted it.
So, Mike, you got to Dark Matter,
I did.
episode 2 and 3.
Yeah.
How'd that go for you?
It's pretty well as expected.
Yeah.
They're giving us little hints here and there of what may or may not have happened. I'm liking how the characters are coming together, and I'm liking how the world is developing.
Yeah, me too, actually. I didn't think I'd like it, but it's growing on me.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a classic
not,
series.
It's not the best series I've seen this year, but it's very watchable and enjoyable.
Yeah, it's like what we said. It's a solid, good, average show.
It was a great second episode. That was an amazing, that could have been a season finale if they wanted it to be That was a great second episode. It was basically war. It was class.
Yeah. So, march on, boys.
Also, Wayward Pines. I think I have caught up. I've watched episode 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, 5's a cracker.
It is.
It's a cracker. Yeah. But it's almost like Too much. Yeah, I'm almost going, well, what's left?
Yeah.
Like this is quite early. I thought it'd be dragged along for another 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Before they told us this much about what's going on.
Yeah.
But no, they're straight in there. Yeah.
Actually, strange enough, my young lad binge watched this, and he went ahead to number 6, which just came out last week, and he was very disappointed in number 6. Because they kind of reached you up to a height at the end of number 5, and then he was a bit, So, I don't know. I haven't seen it myself. I can't comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check it out later on this week, actually. Yeah. What else was on this week?
Actually, speaking of the young lad, just to go back to Mark's story about his friend, Mr. McGregor. He is currently ensconced...
Close personal friend.
Close personal friend. Yeah. My young lad is currently ensconced in the Gaeltacht, which is Irish summer college for everybody else on the planet.
Yep.
Which is basically a complete immersion course. And as part of that, you have...
In what? In water?
Sorry, in the local language.
Sheep dip.
Sheep dip, yeah. And paraquat.
Yeah. So Irish language and culture, yeah.
But as part of the way this works, it is completely isolated from the rest of the world. So you have no TV, you have no radio, you have no phones.
It's like Maze Runner.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I heard the Conor McGregor news today, and I had the smug satisfaction of sitting down to write my son a letter breaking the news that the Aldo fight is off.
What, like snail mail?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
A real old-fashioned handwritten letter. And I know I'm just going to fuck his shit up when he opens that letter tomorrow morning and it arrives. Yes, I love being a parent.
Shaun, so Suits is back.
Suits?
Yeah.
You've been trying to get me on that show for years now, Steve.
You've got a lot of catching up. It's season 5 now.
Well, I mean, have you ever watched a show called House of Lies, Steve?
Yes.
So tell me, do you find those shows to be similar?
No.
Okay,
No.
So I just started, let me just do a quick pitch review thing for House of Lies, right? House of Lies is based on the book House of Lies, How Management Consultants Steal Your Watch to Tell You the Time by Martin Kine. And it stars Don Cheadle as Marty Khan, who's basically his entire job is to convince businesses that they need him and his team to help them make more money. And that's how he gets paid. He consults, right? And it's only ever done through some combination of lying, manipulation, blackmail, sex, and a whole lot of cursing.
Right.
And this show, I thought it was just like a fun comedy, right? It has an interesting visual aesthetic where every now and then Marty will look at the camera and like have a chat.
Oh,
like
that's right.
Like a comedic House of Cards thing, right? But with more visual flair. Like he will actually stop the world, walk around it, and like mess with people as he walks around them.
Yeah.
Usually to explain something to the audience or to comment on how much he hates a motherfucker. And it's used for great comedic effect. And then I watched the second episode and I started to really like all the other characters as more than just like comedic, like whatever. And then I watched the third episode and I realized that it was really a show, not just like a comedy, but a comedic drama. I think it's a comedy Breaking Bad.
Oh.
And of similar quality.
Oh.
Like so Breaking Bad was a show about a guy who had extreme ability in a field, and then he used that to help his family, then realized he was really good at the bad aspects of that field, and turned into this kind of shitty person. House of Lies is about a shitty person who has extreme talent in a field, and he has a family, and it's like, oh, so he just is okay, like he does these shitty things, but he's okay. And then you realize that he fucking hates himself. and he cannot have any relationships with anyone, despite having one of the cutest kids and one of the best acted children in network television history. It's on Showtime. His kid Roscoe is a transvestite and he just has no idea like how to handle him, but he fucking loves him. Like, it's the one relationship that you're really, if he lost it, you don't know what deep end he'd go off. I watched 4 seasons of this show in 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's fucking class.
Wow.
And the cliffhangers are ridiculous. I care about whether or not their company does well.
Oh.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. And the way that they manage to keep it fresh, given that really every episode is, go talk to this guy, convince him to do what you want, it's really impressive. And here's the thing that I would point out as the main attraction. When they get you with the seriousness, it's always a gut shot, because you've been distracted by them making fun of each other for the past 22 minutes. There's an episode where Marty does something so shameful that he freaks out, and it's the angriest you've ever seen him. And then he is really mean to someone he loves and sends them away. And then he sits down on his bed and he looks at the camera and he just covers it with his hands, and the episode ends.
Oh,
we're the only ones who actually see him for how fucked up he is. It's great.
Right.
It's an amazing show. I couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah.
It must be incredible writing to get somebody like Shaun rooting for corporate sharks.
Yeah. And it turns out it's nothing like Suits, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to the news with Shaun.
So here's one of my favorite headlines I've seen in Forbes magazine recently. Simply because I imagine the guy who wrote it cared very little about his job that day. Ted 2 is neither a massive smash hit or a mega flop, but rather something in between that will probably make a profit in the end. Seems that, slow news week, Jurassic World did all that business, Inside Out did all that great business, and then it was like, oh, Ted 2 didn't make as much money as we thought it would. Yeah. Oh, is it losing money? No. I mean, it's fine. In other news, Ricky Gervais's Office movie spin-off was bought by Open Road.
Oh.
The UK Office has bought the US rights the UK Office has a spin-off movie called Life on the Road, based on David Brent's character, self-financing a UK rock music tour with his band, Foregone Conclusion. So it's going to be David Brent, and it's going to be a US theatrical release. It'll open in the UK on August 19th, 2016, with Open Road, the company who bought the rights, planning for a wide theatrical release in the US shortly thereafter. No plot news has really been mentioned, but we haven't seen David Brent since 2002. Unless we count his cameos in the American Office. So we can only imagine what he's gotten up to since then. And finally, Paul Thomas Anderson of There Will Be Blood fame is going to be writing Robert Downey Jr.'s Pinocchio remake.
What?
Yeah. So, you know how there's been a surge. I'm just looking at Mike's expression. You know how there's been a surge in live action fairy tales, right? Maleficent started it off, and now Disney are doing Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, all that kind of stuff. So apparently this project was something Robert Downey Jr. wanted to do for a while, but forgot about it. And now that surge is happening, it looks like it's going to finally happen. It's slated for 2016, and it will star Robert Downey Jr. as Geppetto.
Oh, okay.
And for anyone who doesn't know the story, fuck you, I'm not telling you what it is. How do you not know the story? It's Pinocchio. Are you serious?
I've one last item of news.
Is Geppetto coming out of rehab, or how does this work?
One last item.
It's the wood glue, man. It's the wood glue. It's sniffing it.
Mike, you might like this. Neve Campbell. She's joining a House of Cards.
Oh.
Yeah, now you're interested.
There's a game changer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, thought you might like that.
So we've got Kate Mara and Neve Campbell in the same
I think you're going to
show.
have to watch this, dude.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good show, despite them being in it.
Yeah. Such talented actresses.
Okay. John, in particular, I want to tell you about the first of our reviews tonight, which is Slow West. It's our movie. I think you missed the trick here. I think you'd have liked this. Slow West is written and directed by John McLean. It's a Western. You got to love them, And this one isn't half bad, with quotes like, there's more to life than surviving. Yeah, but there's dying. you know. I knew Mike would love it anyway. But it's set in 1870. This is cowboys, ranches, Smith and Wessons, murder, violence, bounty hunters, and pulling and dragging, misery and misfortune. More pulling and dragging and hard labour and bleeding and hunger and dragging and illness and hard times. But essentially, it's a love story. It tells a tale of a young Scottish lad, Jay Cavendish, who has crossed continents to find his true love. Jay, who, dreaming of the happy ever after, is suddenly faced with the brutal reality of the world. But it turns out he isn't the protagonist that we all thought he would be. That, my friends, is the role of a certain bounty hunter called Silas, which is played by Michael Fassbender, who pretends to chaperone young Jay westward for a large sum of money. Enter Ben Mandelson, leader of a band of bounty hunters who pick up Jay's trail. But why? What do they know? What is Silas hiding? Where did Ben get that fabulous coat? Won't someone think of the children? It's fantastic. It's only 84 minutes long, so it's nice and terse and gets to the point, and the action is great. And it's filmed in New Zealand.
Mm.
Yeah.
Perfect place for a Western.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But yeah, what did you think, Mike?
I don't know what the hell I thought about this.
Really?
Yeah, because I liked...
Why is it called slowest? Who are they slower than?
Well, it is pretty shag and slow.
You thought?
Is that why?
Yeah.
There's 2 words in there. There's 2 W's.
Mm.
Slow West.
Mm.
Not everyone can spell, Steve. I don't think you need to
No,
point out
I just thought I'd help you.
Listened to by millions of people.
Sorry, Mike. Or Mark. Sorry, I should have. There was no memo this week. Yeah.
So they're heading west rather slowly. Which is what happens when you try and travel in the days before Concorde or whatever.
Yeah.
And however regular people travel.
Yeah.
In fact, they've only got 1 horsepower each at their disposal.
They do. Yeah. So, okay, first off, really nicely shot. Very well acted.
Yeah.
But I question the delivery. They have like long periods of just sitting on horses and traveling from one action scene to another.
Yeah. Yeah, there's little sub-stories in there, yeah.
Yeah, but there's too much of that, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it not the journey of adventures?
Well,
with one big encompassing adventure, wrapping it all nicely together.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's essentially a Western road movie.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it's lacking a sense of menace, I think.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I never felt that there was danger.
Yeah.
Well, not too often, you know.
And I mean, they do paint the picture of it being an extremely dangerous place.
Yes.
I mean, little Jay Cavendish or whatever is obviously...
way out of his depth.
Yeah,
little naive Jay Cavendish.
He's an egg floating in a sea of hammers.
Oh, I love that.
I like that.
Brilliant.
But, you know, once he gets hooked up with Michael Fassbender, you're kind of thinking, okay, that's all taken care of.
Yeah.
Nothing going to happen to him now.
Yeah.
And Michael Fassbender, he's surprisingly good at being a badass.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have normally have put him in that role.
Yeah.
But, he carried it off pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not the biggest, most physically intimidating person, but he's got a certain nastiness in his eye.
Yeah. Well, I think most people are kind of intimidating if there's a gun pointed at you. You know.
Yeah. And the violence is shocking.
Oh, yeah.
And unexpected. And then strangely meaningless in a lot of
well, yeah,
ways.
I think it's mostly shocking because it's not quite what do you call it? Tarantino-esque cartoony violence. Because that's just brutal, and it's meant to be brutal, and it's meant to be splattery.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
That must really hurt.
Yeah. That looks kind of sore, all right. Yeah. Oh man, you'd probably suffer for a while after that with no hospitals. Yeah. You know. Yeah. There's a bit of that, all right. I did like, as they're going along the trail, that they meet like interesting characters. There's a bit, that kind of story, and there's a couple of things that happened that I thought, oh God.
Yeah,
that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
There's a couple of moments where I just thought, oh God, are they going to tell us what happens or later, and they don't, and you're like, oh God, yeah, that's rough. That's kind of the way, it's like a brutal world. It really reinforces the point that you go,
I did get the feeling while watching it that I probably missed out a whole bunch of references to some kind of medieval classic literature.
All right.
that they had built the story over.
Yeah.
But I'm sure wiser people than me will figure that out.
So essentially, he's off. He had this first love kind of thing. They're in love and they're in Scotland, and then she disappeared and went off with her dad somewhere for some reason, and he's going off to find her. All he knows is that she's gone to the west in the US, as pioneers do, and so he's traveling along, and unbeknownst to him, there's a subplot. Yeah, so that's what's driving Jay. And some of the adventures are quite interesting. There's one with Dutch, what is he, an artist or something, or a writer?
I thought he was a naturalist or something.
Or something like that, yeah. But the outcome of that whole adventure is quite surprising, and it's quite entertaining. Yeah. There's also the encounter with Ben Mendelsohn, who's brilliant as usual.
Yeah.
Who plays Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
And he's the menace in it.
Do you think he should have given that coat to ABBA?
Yeah, he's got this massive fur coat. It looks like about 4 furs deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's like a whole flock of sheep.
I know.
On one back.
But yeah, he's great in it. And his gang, they all look like a Western gang, which is great. And then, of course, there's another character in it who's a very surgical assassin type guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's great too. Yeah, so it all comes together as Westerns do, and I was quite satisfied with the ending. I thought, I was thinking Michael liked this. Yeah, just because of the type of ending it was.
I thought the ending was good.
Yeah,
but it lacked a certain heroism.
Okay.
Yeah. I know there's that they've built it up for chaos and emotion and stuff.
There's no Clint Eastwood in this.
Yeah. That's what was fucking missing. You know, if Clint had been there, or what's his name, Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
With those psychotic blue eyes.
Yeah.
You know, that could have.
Or Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah. That could have brought it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And again, what's the word? You know, they brought it together, but they didn't kind of build up the tension, I thought.
Right.
You know, like movies like Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah.
You know, the final gunfight is just literally 2 guys circling.
Yeah.
And waiting to who draws first.
Yeah.
And it's one of the great scenes in Western history.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And this has so much more in it, and so it's so much less satisfying.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, I sounds like I'm pissing on this, but I did actually like the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, I enjoyed it as well because the editing was great. Because it got to the point, didn't fuck around. There was no, long periods where you're sort of going, okay, something must happen. You know, it was 84 minutes, as I say. 84, you know. It was just done. And I sort of went, yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So I suppose there was a few poignant moments. Did you have maybe a little tear in the corner of your eye?
No, I had a few laughs, all right, though. No, for sure. No, I had a few moments where I was sort of going, like I was saying, I was sort of questioning, sort of going, yeah, that kind of, those kind of rough bits, but they're not rough, violent, or rough, well, semi-violent, but they're not rough, bloody, or anything like that. But it's just sort of, you think, yeah, it was the West, and it was a long time ago, and there's no infrastructure, and they're really out there in the backwoods, and that kind of comes to the fore, and you get reminded of that quite often. So, yeah. Anyway, despite that, it was enjoyable. Actually, that's partially enjoyment, I think. But I'm going to give this. a solid 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
probably a very solid 7.
Probably wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 6.
6.
Decent show.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be on any classics list.
Okay. Yep. Okay, great. Okay, next up, first of our TV, The Brink. Who wants to tell us about that? Shaun.
The Brink centers around a lowly United States a United States state official in Pakistan, played by Jack Black, who has aspirations of being a shot caller, being a baller. If only he was a little bit taller. If he had a girl, he would call her. It's about him, and he, goes into Pakistan, persuades a guy to like drive him in there, so he can get some ganj, so he can get some minge.
It's actually primo weed he was after, I believe.
Primo, sure, okay. Point is, it looks like an average day for this guy. However, we actually see a real shot caller, played by Tim Robbins, who appears to be playing a delightful sexual deviant alcoholic, who is surveying the scene from on high as riots begin to erupt in Pakistan. And it seems like both of those characters are marginally connected, and perhaps this misadventure could bring fortune to one or both of them if the world doesn't end, given that our only other character that we see, our third protagonist, is a fella, an Air Force pilot who's on a mission. He's on a mission to put a bomb wherever he ends up getting told to put one to try and solve this situation. But he also happens to be the base's drug dealer. So it looks like some misadventures are going to take place there as well. So yeah, it seems like I would call this a comedy that could very well have serious implications for the characters involved.
All right. Yeah. What do we think of this, Mark?
Do you know, I liked this, Steve.
Thought you might.
And I was very dubious going in because I've been burned by army-based sitcoms before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I thought I was going in for. I didn't expect that they would spend so much time building up the political backdrop in Pakistan, as they say it in Ireland. Not Pakistan, like you're saying it tonight, Shaun.
I mean, Pakistan? That's the US influence.
I mean, I know a guy from Pakistan. I'm trying to just say it the right way.
Yeah, well, I can say Pakistan if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. We usually say Pakistan.
All I'm hearing in my head right now is
anyway, pronunciation of the country aside. So they built it up a lot and made it into how would you say it? Like it was a lot closer to a drama than a comedy than I expected. So in terms of what is it you say is jokes per minute? Mm-hmm. The jokes per minute. I don't know if that was as high as you would see in other shows, but it was to its betterment. I think that they spaced out the humor pretty well. A lot of it was situational, and then a bit of a longer build up for a better payoff. I thought Jack Black was really good. He was Jack Black, but not as Jack Black as we've seen him before. So he was trying to become more of an onion, like The Rock. So it was a pretty enjoyable show. I thought the pacing was very good. I thought they switched back and forth between the political intrigue in, is it Washington, and back to the more real, on the ground unraveling of the machinations that they have in Pakistan. The pilots were hilarious. Some of the stuff that was going on in the aircraft carrier,
brilliant! I can't wait to see more of them.
The funniest things that happened in the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. I can't say too much bad about it, to be honest. I think everyone should give it a look and see what they think. I did have a question though.
Oh yeah.
Is there a number of seconds where somebody must be nude on TV now in each TV show? Like, do you must have an amount of boobage?
It's called the mic factor.
Is there a boob quotient?
Yeah, it's called the mic factor. Yeah. It has to have the mic factor, which is boobs every 12 minutes, or else it's off the air. It's not going to last past season 1.
Actually...
but for how long? How long is it taking you now, Mike? Is it we up to 10 seconds?
Well, actually, I didn't want to brag about it, but there is a bill before the California legislature next year. It's called the Mike Law, which will enforce boobage per minute.
Can't wait to see what the NBA is like.
Law.
On a less funny point...
a more serious note, you mean?
A more serious note.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking like this.
You didn't?
No.
Tell us why.
I thought Tim Robbins was brilliant. I never really thought of him as a comic kind of a guy, but he carried it really, really well, and I bought into him totally. But the pilots, I thought, were shite. And
Really?
Yeah. And Jack Black, I cannot fucking stand.
That's getting off on the bad
hate
foot
Jack
right
Black
off
with
there.
a passion.
Ah, right, okay.
So Mark was talking about him being less Jack Black than usual.
Yeah.
No, nothing short of a headshot could have saved
Tell
this episode for me.
Tell me, Mike, have you seen Tenacious D?
Yes.
No further questions.
Yeah.
Is it possible, Michael, that the reason you don't like Jack Black is because when you look at him, you see a little bit of yourself?
Touché.
Very good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. He did what I expected to do, which was to annoy me. And it kind of crowded out all the other good stuff that was potentially going to happen in this show. The pilots I was nearly on board for, but then they tried to set up a sort of a landmark joke near the end, and I thought that just totally fell flat in its face.
That was brilliant.
I had my head in my hands looking at that, saying that was such a drop of the ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they got the timing wrong and the attitude wrong. It just fell flat in its face for me.
Speaking of timing, now I did enjoy this. I talked about this last week actually that I'd seen this, but do you think it's a comedy, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not. Oh my god, that's funny! Laugh out loud every few seconds, kind of comedy, right? There is a lot of setup and so on, character development and so on before you get the jokes and so on. But do you think that it was a little bit like off by a beat or two, like punchlines or you know what I mean?
Nearly every time, yeah.
Is that the problem?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah, because I had that feeling for some of them all right, going, yeah, that was good, but it could have been a bit better if they sort of said that a bit earlier, or I agree with you on that. All right. Although I have to completely disagree with you on the pilots. Mm-hmm. I thought it was so funny. Right. And I do like Jack Black. I love Jack Black.
That's a matter of taste, you know?
Yeah. I love Jack Black, so I'll watch anything that Jack Black's in it, you know. Okay. He is playing
I'm kind of the same, I think.
Yeah, and like I said last week, it is kind of his Bernie character to a certain degree. Is it's facial expressions and so on that he uses. It's not his Tenacious D character. So but
it's not Bernie though. That's the only Jack Black
Bernie.
Film I didn't like.
No, he's not Bernie, but he sort of has that kind of frumpy thing that he's playing on, I enjoyed this. Yeah, I will watch more. Yeah, mostly because I've read about later episodes and they sound hilarious. Right, they sound really, really funny. So, yeah, yeah. John,
I liked this show. I did think that the weakest of the three storylines was the pilots. I did. I didn't think that they're like the idea of them getting paid minimum wage to fly $6 million aircrafts was my favorite thing that was said in their storyline, and that's not funny. Like that's not funny at all. That's like,
is it true?
Holy shit!
Is it true?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't get paid much.
Yeah.
You definitely you're not gonna. I think the real reason, besides obviously the moral or philosophical or cultural reasons to do that, is more like to finance a degree,
Yeah.
I don't think it's not, you don't do it for the money, like, unless you make it your lifetime career. But, so I never really thought anything they were doing was all that funny. Like, I genuinely, none of that was that funny to me. Here's what I saw. I saw a guy whose life was going to be in danger soon, freaking out about alimony payments and trying to make money by convincing his ex to send him drugs that he could sell to people. Like, I was like, oh, that's fucking rough, man. That's really rough. And then to have them take drugs and start to make the most cliched and generic versions of those jokes. Like, I don't know. I presumed that was going to be their function anyway, right? They would be like the rogue fucking plane because drug problems. Of course, if you see guys take drugs, don't expect everything to go well, But besides that, I thought that the other two storylines were very funny. And thinking back to it, there's not all that much of Jack Black, really.
Right.
Like, Jack Black has an opening scene, he has a scene in the middle that looks like it could have been out of fucking Homeland, except like a gentle Homeland that doesn't show like blood in your fucking face. You know what I mean? And then he just has maybe 2 more scenes that I can think of to, you know, that show him making his move, you know? And then his life is in fucking danger again. Like, it's pretty serious. I did laugh, but the thing that made me laugh the most was Tim Robbins arguing with the other guy in front of the president. Mm-hmm. Just their fucking fuck you banter was amazing, and he could not turn his dick off. Like, his base pleasures just would not quit. And I thought that was amazing, and his like suffering assistant was great as well. So I thought it was funny, and I'm actually invested in whether or not things go well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that it will be interesting to see that kind of stuff. If you put a highly underqualified character in, I can think of so many situations where if the fate of the Western world or World War III rests on frickin' Jack Black, like, I will be really interested to see how that goes. So I'm in for more of that.
Okay. Okay, so thriller?
Yeah, thriller for me. They obviously spent enough fucking money on renting out a battleship. Yeah, thriller for me.
Mark?
Yeah, it's probably thriller for me, I would say. I feel bad that Mike couldn't take time off from trying to climb in the hierarchical ladder of this job that he doesn't like very much while he's trying to buy weed to enjoy Jack Black doing exactly the same thing.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm thinking of adding Jack Black to my Meryl Streep list. The no-watch list.
Yeah.
There's a total filler for me. There's not a chance I'm going to watch it again. And I resent you guys for making me watch it in the first place.
Yeah, I'll be watching more of this. It's thriller for me. Yeah, I thought it was funny. Yeah, for sure watch at least one more anyway. Yeah. Okay, so next up was the second of our TV, which is Killjoys. Mark, do you want to tell us about that?
In this TV show, Iceman plays a bounty hunter, a space bounty hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good space bounty hunter. And he is friends with the girl, special friends, and she's a bounty hunter too. But the problem is, he gets sent to, I don't know what the word is for the thing when you're sent to do a bounty on someone. He gets asked to bounty hunt his brother, and everything starts to go wrong. And his brother is the gay guy from Brothers and Sisters, who I haven't seen in anything since.
Shaun?
I like this. I like it a lot. It was a very fast-paced opening. It was literally like, oh, that's a really, really pretty, like, image of space. Oh, Iceman's getting tortured, and he's definitely got a plan. Oh, a girl showed up. Wait, am I just about to get crying gamed? It looked like she is a cock. Anyway, basically, I thought the opening scene was great. I thought it was an excellent 6-minute thing of, this is the world, these are the 2 characters, boom. There's this great moment where you figure out, like, why it's called what it's called. A bounty hunter in this world in the future is called a killjoy, which I think is just class. And I think that they give the name for money is called like joys or something as well. Point is, I really liked the spaceness of what they were doing. And the multiple Han Solo impressions that everyone was doing I thought was pretty good. Good job trying to be, you know, roguish, cocky space folk. Good job, everybody. I don't know. I thought that the fights were good. The CG was, at the very least, passable. I don't know. Like, this is exactly in my wheelhouse. I'm excited to hear your guys' opinions, and then we can figure out whether this is better or worse than Dark Matter.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching that. This is Dark Matter's rival. And I think from what I've seen of the 2, Dark Matter is winning the battle hands down. They have, well, I suppose number 2 on Dark Matter is almost exactly the same as the lead girl on this. They could be sisters, or even the same actress. And I did like the spaciness. but I did object to the cleanliness. I felt that this has, what will I call it, a certain Pacific Northwest feeling to it that kind of ruined the world for me. I kept getting this feeling when I was watching Down on Earth that this was sort of like, it's a place where everybody is either a photographer or runs their own panda charity. And, you know, they meet up in smoothie bars to discuss where they're going to go mountain biking for the weekend. That's what I felt the world was. It wasn't gritty or dirty enough for me. Whereas Dark Matter is altogether more kind of, well, I can't say for sci-fi real, but it just feels grainier. So this is a little bit lightweight for my taste. And had I watched it 6 months ago, I probably would have been fine with it. But now I've got something to compare it with and bitch about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mark?
It is definitely like Dark Matter. And you might remember from my review last week, I talked about in Dark Matter, it took a while to get over the setting. And I thought, while they obviously spent more money on this show, I had a similar thing. Because I've only just come off the back of a thrilling conclusion to the series, The Killing, where Iceman played an FBI detective. And it's a bit jarring to see him in a different role. For a while, I couldn't believe him as the Killjoy. But I got into it, and Sean's already mentioned the pacing at the start, where it's fairly obvious that they both have a special set of skills. And I can't actually remember the name of the guy from Brothers and Sisters who plays the brother. Bringing him into the mix certainly helped the dynamic as well. So I think pacing good. The characterization was good. They developed them quickly. They told us who they were very quickly. And it also had cage fighting. I mean, what more do you want?
It was kind of sanitized cage fighting, though.
I do like the idea of
the
electric cage. I do like that when you bounce off the edge.
You're not going to be hanging on to that, are you?
I think they should add that, actually, yeah.
Dana White's all over that shit.
You know who would be all over that? Dada 5000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Battleship 2 coming soon.
He's probably going to release pit bulls randomly after every
Yeah.
round as well.
Release the hounds. I didn't quite gel with this. Thought it was good. Thought it was all right. It was a good story and so on. But it's the people. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're doing, really. Mm-hmm. I don't know what a Killjoy is, for sure. I know they're bounty hunters, but why? For who? And I just didn't really care about them. So that's kind of a problem for me. So, and like Shaun said, it's a little bit lightweight. You know.
It's like you took what I said and said the opposite.
Yeah, kind of is, isn't it?
She was very pretty, though.
This is how we get on, Steve. This is why we work.
I know. Opposites attract and all that. Hey, soldier. So, anyway, that's kind of where I stand on it. Yeah.
On the fence.
No, I'm kind of not watching anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad
I don't really
to
care.
see that you're making decisions as you get older.
I know, I'm a man now.
Yeah.
I have to.
Steve stands on the opposite side of the fence to me, seductively.
He's oiling himself up as we speak.
Give over, Jesus.
Could I ask Steve? Could I postulate a hypothesis? Could I throw something your way?
Oh, this is where you're going to undermine my opinion. Yeah, sure, go for it. Yeah.
No. I'm not going to undermine your opinion, just your sense of selfhood. So, listen, right? Imagine, if you will, you're watching Dark Matter. Okay?
Right.
You're watching Dark Matter on the Sci-Fi Network, and you're going, "Yeah, this is good stuff. I appreciate this. I like these characters. I want them to succeed. I'm worried when they're in danger." And episode finishes and you go, "Cool. That was good. That was class." And you know what? It's still early in the evening. I could watch another show right now. I wonder what's coming on Sci-Fi next. And you see that it's Killjoys. Would you? Would you just hang around for a little bit more of that space adventure that you just so enjoyed with Dark Matter? Would it get you going again? Would you give them another chance? Would you want to go watch Iceman shoot people with non-ice related stuff?
You see, I had this option, but I went and watched The Brink instead.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it's failing the would you test.
Yeah. No, you know what? I was just like, yeah, it was okay, but not for a second one. You know. Yeah. I wasn't that invested. I didn't feel drawn in. It just wasn't something I wanted to. It wasn't a world or a universe that I wanted to get drawn into. Really, it just wasn't strong enough for me. That's all.
It's your classic hump and dump scenario, then. Yeah.
Hump and dump. That's a Humpty Dumpty. Yeah. So yeah, it's filler for me.
Yeah. On another day, I might have given it some love, but Dark Matter isn't a super show. It's just a really strong average show.
Yeah.
And that's given me more of what I need.
Okay.
So filler.
John.
I'm happy that Sci-Fi have double billed these two shows together. I'll watch both happily. Thriller from me.
Okay, Mark.
I think it's thriller for me as well, Steve. I'll almost certainly watch at least one more half episode.
Right. Yeah.
Damned with
So
faint praise.
just over the line into thriller for me.
Just to be sure kind of way. Yeah. Okay.
Like I give it a half an episode. If that episode isn't grabbing me, I would just go, no, look, there's other stuff out there. It's not bad, but it's just good enough to give it another shot, another episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So the show gave you its number, and the next morning you say,
yeah,
go on, we'll have breakfast. We'll see how it goes.
It was just a bit silly.
No, the show texts me like the day after. I went, I had a really good night last night. Hope we get to do it again soon. And I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, next up we have some previews in Coming to a Bicycle near you. So the first one is Creed, which is the the boxer thing with Michael Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. It's a spin-off from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, there'll be no... Hold on now. There needs to be an element of reverence in this discussion, right? We are talking about what was the most important set of films to me when I was a kid.
Mark, I think you're...
For a long time.
Yeah, you should probably introduce this, yeah. Go for it.
Why don't I? So Creed tells the story of Apollo Creed's son. And he is a boxer, unsurprisingly. And in the trailer, it tells us that he meets up, or I guess he acquires a trainer in the form of his dad's sparring partner and later friend, Rocky Balboa, played inimitable by Sylvester Stallone. So I watched this trailer and I had goosebumps watching it, going, oh my God, I hope this film materializes the way I think it's going to. I immediately pasted it on my brother's wall because we grew up on Rocky, he and I. And we wanted to fight Ivan Drago so bad, you have no idea. And especially after what happened with Apollo Creed. Like, they should have thrown in the damn towel. But that aside, I think this is going to be a great film. It seems like it's going to be a fitting... I guess you call it a spin-off. I don't know. I guess that's what it is, right? It is a spin-off from the Rocky franchise. But given that Rocky Balboa was in it, they should have just called it Rocky 7. Rocky 7, Creed. Anyway, I can't wait for this. Cannot wait.
Shaun, are you as invested in this?
Well, I don't have the same connection to the Rocky franchise that Mark does. Like, I've never seen one in the theater even.
Because he was the one we tried the Rocky moves out on.
That's also true. That's my connection to Rocky.
Yeah.
So that's why your face is like it is.
Yeah. No, that was just birth, dude. Yeah. Sorry, Shaun, go on.
No, nice one, guys. Real hurting bombs. That's good stuff.
You know we love you.
So I didn't have the connection to it, right?
Yeah.
But it's an amazing trailer. Like, this is a really good trailer for a movie. Like, they have... So you see Apollo Creed's kid, and you see his character. Like, you know, it seems like he's maybe been in some rough places, you know? But he's rising up, you know, he's back in the street now. He did his time and he took his chances. And he went the distance, he's back on his feet and in the end, he's just a man, and his will to survive.
Oh, I still want to go run up some steps now.
And I was invested, because he's got he has a great line in the trailer where he sees a picture of his dad and Rocky fighting. And Stallone's giving him some advice and he's just like, I never knew that man. Like, every punch I ever threw, I threw it for me. Like, I'm not doing this because of my dad. And Sylvester Stallone is trying to counsel him and he's obviously playing the Mickey role, right? Giving us some coaching, some tips, some advice. And I'm interested more in, I need to see a relationship beyond Creed and boxing. You know what I mean? I know that there's a love interest. We see that in the trailer. And I know that Balboa is going to be a mentor and I'm sure that there'll be some friction. But I want to see some real stakes in this. And the thing that I think should elevate this above other like sports movies, like which we've seen many of before, right? Is that in Rocky, he can lose. In the Rocky movies, Stallone might not win. Like, there's certainly a chance that won't happen. So what I'd be interested in is exploring that big question of if he gets in trouble in the ring, because they make a very clear point in the trailer, say, you can die in that ring. Your dad died there. If it gets to that point, is Rocky Balboa going to throw in the towel to save Apollo's kid from what happened to Apollo? Like, that's the kind of shit I want to see. I want it to be real. I want the stakes to be fucking huge. And that looks like what it's going to be. That's what I want to see. And if they don't give me that, if it's just like your generic, his life is tough and boxing's going to get him out of it, he gets to connect with his father, I mean, that'll be good, I'm sure. But I want to see something spectacular.
Wow, you've thought about this.
If that's well written, that could be really good. But Jesus, Shaun, that's a great fucking idea for a
isn't
script that you've just come up with there. That's brilliant. I hope they do that. I started to get gooseflesh again thinking about that. I said, how class would that be? And he's like his dad, he's leaning over some Russian's chest going, no, in slow motion. And your man's coach is going, throw it in the damn towel. I'd like to say something controversial at this point. Rocky Balboa, I thought was a really brilliant film, which is the one where he's dealing with Adrian's death, I guess, the stored up grief that he had from Adrian's passing, right? When he goes back into the ring one last time, and like Shaun says, he doesn't win. So like Rocky 1, he loses but he wins. Rocky 2, he wins and he wins. Rocky 3, he loses then he wins. Rocky 4, Apollo dies but he wins. And in Rocky 5, he doesn't really fight in the ring. His ring is outside. Rocky 6, he loses again, but that's actually a win. So it's well pointed out by Shaun that you it's not necessarily about the winning of the fight, which makes these movies quite different. And if they could capture the same kind of emotion that Rocky Balboa did, then this could be the making of the greatest boxing movie ever. I don't think I'm overselling it.
Mike?
You may wonder what Rocky and the Lord of the Rings has in common. But watching this...
Many people wonder that.
Watching this trailer, I had this picture in my mind of Christopher Lee talking to Gandalf and saying, your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly clouded your mind. Because it wasn't until 2/3 of the way through the trailer and me sitting there thinking, oh, this is some kind of Rocky ripoff or whatever, until they actually show the picture in the restaurant of Rocky and Apollo Creed. And then Stallone shows up there and
then the penny dropped.
Holy shit! All my ancient synapses have...
Creed! I get it now.
It's true. I am so old. My brain is finally caved in. But once the penny dropped...
But you're only in your 50s when that came in.
Once it came out, or once the penny dropped, I was so fucking excited. Because like Mark, I grew up on Rocky. And the possibility of another one, you know, with Sylvester in the back and not pretending to be a 75-year-old prize fighter. So new meat in there, but with like, there's one thing these guys in the Rocky franchise know how to do, and that's make a goddamn boxing movie. This is going to be fucking brilliant.
And we know that Mike likes nothing than a bit of meat. So,
Loves the beef.
So you'll be watching that. So, yeah, you know, I'm slightly indifferent to this. I'm sorry.
Steady now, Steve.
But look,
steady.
I'm not as excited as you guys about it. Because I don't really have the ties to the original Rockies. Now,
Look at Mark's face.
I know.
He's going to cry.
He looks like he's lost a friend.
He's either going to cry or he's going to drive down from Donegal and beat the fuck out of you.
No, I did enjoy them, absolutely, but I wasn't waiting for another one. But at the same time, I think, you know, I look forward to seeing it and hoping that it turns out like Shaun has described it. But I'm kind of, yeah. Okay.
Do you know what your problem is? You had more than 2 channels growing up.
Oh, that's the problem. Exactly. Yeah. I did actually. Yeah.
So, with your fancy BBC area
I was probably spoiled for choice.
Yeah. And like all we had was like somebody's copied VHS. Or the once a year on your birthday go to the cinema.
Oh, so you Charlie and the Chocolate Factory every Christmas was that?
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
big time, yeah. At least we didn't have the Queen's speech. So.
But this is, rather than being a cash-in, like rather than just being, let's make another Rocky for money, it actually seems like the filmmakers are saying, don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. And it seems like they're going to fight just to keep them alive. That was basically it. I'm going to go see this movie. I'm excited.
Okay, cool. So the next one we looked at was 10,000 Saints. This stars Ethan Hawke. He's a dad who kidnaps his musical son and brings him to New York City, where he starts to integrate. And I think it's a bit about that and a bit of a sort of a coming-of-age movie, seems to me. What did we think? Not half as enthusiastic.
There's a deathly silence around the table.
Not fighting over each other to talk about this one. Yeah.
This is going to stand or fall by the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they did say that. Yeah,
that's all they talked about was the soundtrack.
So I'm quite excited about the soundtrack. Not as excited about the movie. It looks kind of it could be okay, but the soundtrack, from what I gather and what I've heard, does sound good.
The worst sign you can see in a trailer, right, is when the first thing that appears on screen is Sundance Film Festival. It's the worst thing you can see.
I'm with you, Mark. I'm with you.
Which dismisses my opinion.
Get out.
Because, for starters, there will be no superheroes in it. You know this, right? You don't need to see any more of the trailer. And also, whatever the plot is, it's going to involve an awful lot of feelings, and it's going to reach for a lot. And as everyone knows, not everyone who goes to Sundance can dance. So quite often these films don't manage it. So I, like Steve, I'm looking forward to hearing what the soundtrack holds. They actually told us there was a song in it and then didn't let us hear it. The sneaky bastards. So now I'm even more interested in hearing the film, strangely. I expect to dislike it intensely, the actual story in that, where they try and make us feel things. But if this, like you guys have already said, if the soundtrack is good, this could be a great film.
They do mention that it's there's going to be some punk in it, but I have a feeling it's going to be more Depeche Mode kind of music rather than you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, it's slightly watered down for the masses kind of thing.
Yeah,
but I hope not. Anyway.
So do you know what Ethan Hawke looks like? Like when you look at the fella, do you know what he looks like?
Yeah.
He looks like the kind of guy who'd kidnap his own son and move to New York. I've always thought that about Ethan Hawke. Like, I look at him and I go, you know, that's a bad father over there. He means well.
Yeah.
But he probably did a bit too much drugs at one point in his life. He's probably a bit late with the rent most of the time. Probably won't ever have an amazing film career. And if he does, not only will I be surprised, I'll kind of be a bit angry about it. So I thought it was excellent casting.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, as we know from Boyhood, can do that in his fucking sleep. He's going to be great at that. It all rests on this child, who I believe is Asa Butterfield, if he can pass the bicycle test. if he can manage to emote significantly and make me give a shit about him liking girls and music and not spit on himself, then yes, then I think it'll be very good, because it's certainly a coming-of-age story. What I don't like is that it seems the only stakes in the movie are shoehorned into the trailer halfway through with no lead-up at all. Because here's how the trailer goes. Hey, we're moving to New York. And he's like, what? But Manhattan? Conversation about punk music. Loads of, like, Sundance men. Oh, hey, Sundance says it's the toast of the year. And this is going to be the movie soundtrack that drives you to the record stores. And I'm pregnant. And then it moves on to some other shit that doesn't sound like it has a plot. And we're left to go, okay, so is that the, like, plot? Is there a pregnant person? And we have to deal with that. And I'm not saying that that's not a bad idea for a movie. It's happened a lot. Knocked Up, Juno, sure. But it didn't show us any other fucking plot beyond he goes places.
Yeah.
So who knows? Let's hope that it has, a cohesive storyline and a character who's trying to do something facing a number of obstacles.
It's definitely a high-risk category. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
One boy in the face of adversity. Yeah. As he struggles to get through his youth.
One adversary in the face of a boy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. In a boy's face.
Look, he's got adversary all over his face.
Should have worn his glasses.
Oh, gosh.
Come on, keep it PG. Come on.
Sorry, Sundance. Sorry.
So what do you think of this, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know how I can follow that. Steve.
Yeah.
I'm spent.
Will I move on?
Yeah, I think it's time to move on, Steve.
Okay, the last one we looked at was Steve Jobs, which stars Michael Fassbender, Kate Winslet, and Seth Rogen. And it's about a dude called Steve Jobs, who did stuff with computers. Yeah, and wore polo necks.
I always thought Steve Jobs was a tosser. And this trailer has reinforced my every preconception about the man.
You know what? Yeah. Did kind of, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, beforehand, I didn't have any evidence to back it up. And now I have a whole movie of evidence.
No, but we're always told that he was like a hard man to work with or for,
Yeah. Well, I've always hated Max and anything with an I in it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, this movie, it's strange to me that you didn't like this trailer more, Mike, because the movie basically says, like, Steve Jobs, look how flawed this guy was. Like, what is it about him that he even does, is the question posed at the very opening of the trailer. And I thought that was interesting, I didn't think it was as well written, after the first 20 seconds, I didn't think it was as well written as the dialogue that we were hearing was as well written as something like, halt and catch fire. And then Jeff Daniels shows up. Starts chatting.
Yeah.
And he seems very comfortable with the type of dialogue that he's been given. And it starts to like sing and sound pretty cool. And then you realize that Aaron Sorkin wrote this movie. Who wrote The Newsroom and The West Wing, and Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and a bunch of other shows that, Matthew Perry was in before he, made 6 shows we didn't watch. So, I was like, okay, Michael Fassbender, show me that you are Steve Jobs and not Michael Fassbender. And then he's Steve Jobs at fucking 50 different times in his life. Like, it was pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got invested. My heart started going a little bit. I was like, yeah, this seems shit. The whole thing with his kid, and like, it seems like he's rejecting his kid. And I don't know anything about this story. I don't know anything about it. And I'm excited to find out, because this is one of those guys. They say that at any one time, only about 1,000 people have any real and lasting impact on the world. Only 1,000 people who are alive are doing that. Heads of huge companies, like military leaders, state leaders, yada, yada, yada. He was one of them. He's a guy who has had so much like impact and effect on the world that I'd be interested to see if they can show where the fuck that came from. Why him?
Do they count podcasters as like the 4 of us or 5 of us, or is it just one for the podcast?
I guess it would just be mostly. I mean, I think as tastemakers, I mean, it's probably just me. I would guess that's where they come in on that. I didn't want to say it, but you looked interested.
You're forced into it, in fairness, yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm interested to watch this movie. I hope it's good, and I think it will be written well.
Mark?
Oh, God, I don't know. Jeez, I don't know. Like, you're in a space that I would probably know a fair bit about the guy already. I find Fassbender to be hit or miss. Jeff Daniels being in it and Aaron Sorkin being involved would probably lead me to give it a shot. I thought the trailer was very well cut together, but I would expect this film to be not as good as the Facebook movie and to be a bit longer. Like, feel longer, the pacing not to be as good.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think that just from the trailer, but there you have it.
Right, yeah.
I not to jump in, but I would guess that that's because The Social Network was about one conflict, like about the company, and then it managed to fill in a lot about someone's life. Whereas this, we don't know what the story, the conflict is.
Yeah, so it didn't strike me as something that I'm all that pushed about watching.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see this. Because I'd like to see...
Because you have an iPad.
No, I don't. No, I certainly don't. No, but I'd like to see the more about the guy that have a preconception about, just to reinforce my preconception. Well, no, I'm only joking. No, I'm interested. I'm interested in the guy. And I want to see more about what he did and when and how. So yeah, I'm in for this. Yeah, and Michael Fassbender, from what I saw in the trailer, looks like he's nailing it. So yeah, right. That was the last of our trailers. So Shaun, what are you doing next week? Next Wednesday in particular.
Oh, next week. I mean, not much, Steve. Not much. Just going to the media center of the world for the week. For the weekend. Heading to San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
Heading down there on Wednesday. It'll be preview night for everyone with press badges. Going to watch some pilots that we won't be able to see until the fall. I'll be sure to report back to you guys about shows like The Player and Lucifer, perhaps even Expanse, etc., etc. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm going to check out. Going to try and get some great interviews for the YouTube page.
Cool.
And I'm sure that our Twitter will be spouting out some stuff as well in the form of links to those videos and interviews. So check them out. I'm also just going to try and have a lovely time. Try and meet some people in costume. Might even dress up myself. Because I hear that there's some real freaks down there in the bedroom. So I'm going to try and, capitalize on that.
Going to cosplay your week away, are you?
I'm going to do my best.
Have they got an outfit planned, maybe? Or?
I do indeed. I will be going dressed all in orange with a little bit of blue as Goku from Dragon Ball Z, because that crowd's going to love manga and they're going to love me.
Nice.
An Irish Goku.
Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Also, one thing I'm definitely going to be doing, which I'll report back on, is I'm going to the premiere of A Lego Brickumentary, which is a documentary narrated by Jason Bateman, which is about Lego, why it became the big phenomenon that it is, talking to a bunch of people who do weird, fun, amazing shit with Lego. So yeah, I'm interested to see that and see how it plays out.
Cool. Yeah, I read about it. It looks great, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's it from this week. So from Mike, Mark, Steve, and Shaun, stay classy.